Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Duggan with IGN, and I'm here with Sean Finnegan.
Hello.
And we are playing Counter-Strike. Why are we playing Counter-Strike, Sean?
Because Counter-Strike is awesome.
It is awesome. I've seen all my friends playing it recently, so I wanted to bring Sean in here, who is a legendary Eagle, to kind of ask him the question, why is Counter-Strike so popular again? When really, and I'm gonna put it completely bluntly, and this is a personal opinion, but when Counter-Strike Global Offensive came out, nobody cared.
Yeah, Counter-Strike is one of those games that has a really dedicated and rabid fan base because of its success during the 1.6 era. But you've seen a resurgence because really the game has evolved quite a bit since the game launched, and part of that is just how much Valve has really paid attention to all the different features that have really sort of made it more accessible to people who want to get into Counter-Strike. Because it is an awesome game, and I've gone on record saying like multiple times that for me, Counter-Strike is the greatest competitive first-person shooter out there.
All right, well, let's talk about the most overt and kind of tangible of the biggest updates for somebody who hasn't played the game in a long time, and that is what you're looking at right now, the weapon skins. The skins, for me, as somebody who started video gaming by playing Diablo 2 and has always been all about trading, I think trading can be a totally negative experience, but for the most part, trading and getting involved in a marketplace and seeing what's of value and what's not, and kind of like pulling one over on people or just making an honest trade is a really cool way to interact with another player.
Absolutely. And that's something that is now integrated with the skin community. Is like there are a lot of people out there who don't really play competitively, but they make and trade skins, and that's kind of how they roll. This is my favorite skin right now. It's basically new. This is the Cyrex M4A1S. I love the look of this.
It's beautiful, Sean.
It is very cool, right? And then I have my knife, which is another like prized possession of mine. Knives are really expensive, so this one is kind of a little worn out. You can see. Oh, hello.
Did you? Can I ask you how you acquired that knife?
This one I actually unboxed.
Wow.
I was very, very lucky.
Gambling.
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a crapshoot when you're opening boxes, and I was a little bit apprehensive about spending. Once you acquire a box either via a drop or when you buy it on the marketplace, you have to spend an extra $2.50 to buy a key that opens the box, and I was a little apprehensive about that because I don't like these mechanics, even if they're cosmetic, because to me they don't impact the gameplay, so I'm really not interested. But once I got a couple of really cool looking skins, I changed my mind completely, and now I'm all about them.
Yeah, and the other thing that for those of you who don't play, like $2.50 gets you a pretty good gun on the marketplace that you know you're getting. So it's definitely kind of a risk to open those. But let's move on, and let's talk about, you think for your money that there has been an awesome resurgence of Counter-Strike competition, basically.
Yeah, and part and parcel that is because of this brand new accessibility that the skins brought on. Like that's kind of when you started to see a lot more people getting involved with it. But once they got involved with it, they realized that the mechanics and the gameplay of Counter-Strike simply are superb. Like they haven't really changed since the game was introduced back in like 1998. The way people move, the way guns fire, it's very, very skill oriented, and it's something that, if you look at my account, I've played 1,000 hours. Like there aren't many games out there, even the Skyrims and stuff, where people play for that long. And it's just because it feels so good, and it feels so rewarding to become good over time and practice with your friends and win matches. Like there are no other games for me where in a clutch situation like this guy is in, this CT right over here is fighting against 3 people and the bomb is planted, he has to try and defuse it. In a competitive match where the stakes actually matter, like we're pubbing now, this is nonsense, it doesn't really matter. These situations are really intense, and my heart gets racing, and like I start breathing quick because it can be very, very cool and very intense. He's gonna get it. This guy's gonna do it.
Oh man!
No!
Oh, you jinxed it.
Yeah.
You also have the peer pressure, of the friends you're playing with. In the same way that, like, if you play World of Warcraft and you're raiding, it comes down to you to do your job. Are you able to perform during that time of pressure or not? And it's a very fun. It's just a very fun gameplay experience for anybody who's into any kind of like multiplayer co-op games.
Absolutely. And what's really great is like because now there's a larger spectatorship in esports has kind of like really embraced Counter-Strike, because up until now there hasn't really been a great shooter. What's great is now you can see how much better these pro players are and the things that they do in order to win rounds.
So let's talk about that. That's the final pillar in your 3 pillars of why this game has again become popular, and it's you told me sound gameplay mechanics, and I agree with you that the mechanics are very sound. But can you explain to me what you mean when you say there hasn't been another great shooter, and why is Counter-Strike so much better? Is the metric that somebody who's played it for 1,000 hours is like noticeably much better than people who are just starting, or is it something more ethereal? What do you think?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, right? Like, it's not. There are definitely a lot of players who play for a long time and they don't get better. That's just the nature of the game. Sometimes you just can't get used to it. But in terms of mechanics and a gameplay perspective, like, everything is consistent across the board. Like, an AK sprays the same way pretty much all the time, and you can learn. It's a little bit randomized. There's some disparity to how it goes every time, but you can learn by and large how guns move and spray and work in addition to how you move and the angles that you play. And so fine-tuning that skill is something that is very, like, you can be very consistent. Like, there is no, in terms of the shooting elements and how one person betters another person in a shooting match, that stuff isn't, it's not different or drastically different each time it happens. So there's consistency there. There's very little randomness. Like in Call of Duty and even to a degree in Halo, like, there's power-ups, there's sort of, what are they even called? Perks, like kill streaks. Like, it doesn't take skill to get 5 kills and then drop an airstrike on someone and get 5 extra kills. Like, that doesn't really, that changes the gameplay in a negative way, in my opinion.
So
in Counter-Strike, you don't have that.
The skill ceiling is higher. The mechanics are raw, basically. They're in their element. And a turn-off to a lot of people who haven't necessarily played Counter-Strike is, of course, there's no aim-down sight. But mechanics of the recoil are such that if you start spraying or even doing one of the first competitive matches I played, I was maybe doing 3 or 4 shots at a time.
Yeah.
And my teammate screamed in my ear. He's like, "Stop spraying!" And I'm like, "What are you talking about spraying?" So there are basically 2 ways to fire. You can try and fire very accurately at the head, or sometimes, as you'll see Sean do when he plays, is you kind of aim towards their feet and let the recoil hit its ceiling and kind of try and control that spray. Is that the basic gist of it?
Yeah, so there's definitely, you have to pick and choose the times when you use each technique. So, like, at distance, and basically it goes to, recoil is the idea that the more you shoot a gun, the faster the bullets come out the barrel, and the barrel heats up and expands, and that's what recoil is. So you can spray and you can kill people at close range by holding the trigger down and shooting as many bullets as fast as you can, but your accuracy continuously degrades as that happens. So it's not smart to do it when you're shooting someone who's really, really far away.
Right. And I suppose the final thing we should talk about that we haven't really mentioned is the maps, knowing the maps, the strategy of choosing which bomb site to go to, which places to stack, which means like putting a lot of teammates to watch that one place. And then finally, the last part is actually choosing what weapons to buy or when to kind of go all in with your purchases and risk a lot, because basically every round of Counter-Strike, you were wagering a dollar amount to the fact that you will not die or your team will win.
Yes.
And if you can't back that up with your actions, then you'll have no money to buy weapons and you'll basically be done.
Yeah, one of the big problems that a lot of people have when they first jump into competitive is getting into a point where all of their teammates are buying and saving on the same rounds, because managing your economy is a big part of being able to stand toe to toe with the opposition. That and making sure you're not playing too aggressively. Like, you see me kind of going back and forth between points here, and that's because these terrorists don't really want to push, and that's fine. That's how they should play, actually. But in a pub, it makes for not that interesting footage. The competitive game it's a lot different than pubbing, and pubbing is a really good way to, like, fine-tune your aim. But when it comes to managing your economy and stuff, they're just things that you don't necessarily have to do. Like, armor doesn't cost anything in non-competitive play like we're playing right now, where it would if you were in a competitive match, so that's something that you have to factor in.
All right, so very last thing I promise, what would you say to players, 2 different players? First of all, the player who's played Counter-Strike 1.6, who's played Source, who enjoyed them, but hasn't necessarily checked out CSGO. And the second player is somebody who's never played Counter-Strike. What would you say to those 2 different players? Would you recommend this?
Absolutely. I would recommend Counter-Strike to anyone who thinks shooters are fun to play. It's a very different beast than any other shooter, than even your Halos and certainly your Call of Duties. It is not the type of game where you can lone wolf it and expect to be pretty good. Like, unless you're Cal I, or which is
right.
Unless you're a pro player, you can't just run around, or you have incredibly good aim. You can't just run around and, by virtue of being better than people, just destroy everyone and win the games for your team. it's something that you have to learn the pace of the game and the play style, and then make those play styles work for your sort of strategy or your sort of like tendencies. But I would definitely recommend it. It's, like I said, and I'll continue to say, I think it is the best balanced and the most, in terms of competitive play, the best shooter probably ever designed.
Awesome. Well, that's probably some of the reason why we've seen so many people playing it recently. Sean, thank you so much for giving us a peek into the world of Counter-Strike.
My pleasure, man.
For all things Counter-Strike, keep it right here on IGN.